The sun shone brightly over the rural village, casting a warm glow over the lush green fields and the farmhouse. Ozi and her husband, Kofi, had decided to take a break from the hustle and bustle of city life and spend a few days in the village. They had brought their baby, Esi, along with them, and the little one was enjoying the fresh air and the sights and sounds of the farm. As they walked around the farm, Ozi couldn't help but feel a sense of joy and contentment. She had always loved the peacefulness of the village, and she felt grateful to be able to share this experience with her husband and child. Kofi, too, was enjoying the break, and he spent his days helping with the farm work and playing with Esi. But as the day wore on, Ozi began to feel a sense of unease. Esi was crying, and no matter what she did, she couldn't seem to soothe her. Ozi tried everything, feeding her, changing her diaper, rocking her in her arms, but nothing seemed to work. As she walked near the river, she became distracted by the beautiful scenery and accidentally dropped the baby. Time seemed to slow down as Ozi watched in horror as her baby fell towards the water. She screamed, but it was too late. The baby landed with a splash in the shallow water. Before Ozi could react, a shimmering figure emerged from the depths of the river. The mermaid's long hair flowed like the seaweed in the current, and her eyes gleamed with an otherworldly intensity. Without hesitation, the mermaid swooped down and scooped up the baby, disappearing into the water. Ozi's world came crashing down around her. She screamed and screamed, calling out for her baby. Kofi rushed to her side, panic etched on his face. Together, they peered into the water, but there was no sign of Esi. The mermaid had vanished, leaving behind only repose on the surface of the river. The couple's joyous day had turned into a nightmare, and they were left with only one thought: finding their baby and bringing her home safely. But as they gazed into the river, they couldn't shake off the feeling that their lives were about to change forever. Ozi and Kofi's world was turned upside down as they frantically searched for their baby. They scoured the riverbank, calling out Esi's name and hoping against hope that she would respond. The villagers, alerted by Ozi's screams, began to gather around, offering words of comfort and assistance. As the news of the mermaid's abduction spread, the villagers' reactions ranged from shock to speculation. Some believed that the mermaid had taken the baby for a specific reason, while others thought it was just a cruel act. Ozi and Kofi didn't care about the villagers' opinions, they just wanted their baby back. The couple's search became more desperate as the hours ticked by. They questioned the villagers, hoping that someone might have seen something. They searched the river, despite the danger, and even ventured into the nearby woods, calling out for Esi. As the sun began to set, Ozi and Kofi returned to the farmhouse, exhausted and distraught. They knew they had to come up with a plan to rescue their baby. Ozi's mind was racing with thoughts of the mermaid and her motivations. Why had she taken Esi? What did she want with their child? Kofi tried to reassure Ozi, but he couldn't hide his own fear. They both knew that they were in uncharted territory, and they didn't know what to expect. As they sat in the farmhouse, trying to gather their thoughts, they heard whispers of an old legend about the mermaid. According to the legend, the mermaid was a guardian of the river, and she had the power to grant wishes to those who pleased her. But she was also known to be fiercely protective of her domain, and those who crossed her did so at their own peril. Ozi and Kofi exchanged a glance, a spark of hope igniting in their hearts. Maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to negotiate with the mermaid and get their baby back. But as they pondered their next move, they couldn't shake off the feeling that the mermaid's powers were far greater than they could imagine. As Ozi and Kofi pondered their next move, they couldn't shake off the feeling that there was more to the mermaid's story than they knew. They decided to visit the village elder, a wise and respected woman who was said to know the secrets of the river. The village elder, known as Mame, welcomed Ozi and Kofi into her home with a mixture of sympathy and concern. She listened to their story, her expression growing more serious with each passing moment. "Yes, the mermaid is real," Mame said, her voice low and mysterious. "And she is not to be trifled with. She has been known to take children from the village before, but no one has ever seen her return them." Ozi's heart sank at the news, but Kofi's determination only grew stronger. "We need to know why she took our baby," he said, his voice firm. "And how we can get her back." Mame nodded, her eyes filled with a deep understanding. "The mermaid's powers are rooted in the ancient magic of the river," she explained. "She is a guardian, but she is also a trickster. She takes what she wants, and she gives what she pleases." Ozi and Kofi exchanged a glance, their minds racing with questions. What did the mermaid want with their baby? And what would it take to get her back? As they left Mame's home, Ozi felt a sense of determination wash over her. She was going to find out what the mermaid wanted, and she was going to get her baby back, no matter what it took. But as they walked back to the farmhouse, they couldn't shake off the feeling that they were walking into a trap. The mermaid's powers were mysterious and unpredictable, and they didn't know what lay ahead. The darkness of the night seemed to press in around them, and Ozi felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew that they were in for a long and difficult journey, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She would do whatever it took to rescue her baby and bring her home safely. Ozi and Kofi spent the night poring over the information they had gathered about the mermaid. They knew they had to be careful, but they were determined to get their baby back. They decided to confront the mermaid and demand the return of their child. As they approached the river, they could feel a strange energy emanating from the water. The mermaid was waiting for them, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intensity. "You've come for your baby," the mermaid said, her voice low and husky. "But do you know what you're getting yourself into?" Ozi and Kofi stood tall, their hearts pounding with fear and determination. "We want our baby back," Ozi said, her voice firm. "We'll do whatever it takes to get her." The mermaid smiled, a mischievous glint in her eye. "I'll return your baby," she said, "but you must first prove your worthiness. I give you a task to complete. If you succeed, I'll return your baby. But if you fail, you'll never see her again." Ozi and Kofi exchanged a glance, their minds racing with uncertainty. But they knew they had no choice. They agreed to the mermaid's task, and she revealed that they had to retrieve a rare flower that only bloomed under the light of the full moon. The task seemed impossible, but Ozi and Kofi were determined to succeed. They set out on their quest, facing numerous challenges and obstacles along the way. But with their love for their baby driving them, they persevered, determined to bring their child home safely. As they journeyed through the forest, they encountered unexpected allies and enemies. They discovered hidden strengths and weaknesses within themselves, and they learned to rely on each other. But despite their progress, they couldn't shake off the feeling that the mermaid's task was just the beginning of a much larger challenge. The stakes were high, and the outcome was far from certain. Would Ozi and Kofi be able to complete the task and retrieve their baby, or would the mermaid's powers prove too strong? The fate of their child hung in the balance, and only time would tell. Ozi and Kofi's journey to retrieve the rare flower was filled with challenges and obstacles. They faced treacherous terrain, wild animals, and harsh weather conditions. But they persevered, driven by their love for their baby and their determination to succeed. Finally, after many hours of searching, they found the flower blooming under the light of the full moon. It was a beautiful sight, and Ozi and Kofi felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. As they returned to the river, they were met by the mermaid. She was impressed by their determination and bravery, and she smiled as she took the flower from them. "Well done," she said. "You have proven your worthiness. I'll return your baby to you now." Ozi and Kofi's hearts swelled with joy as they saw their baby being returned to them. They hugged Ozi tightly, tears of relief streaming down their faces. But as they turned to leave, the mermaid spoke again. "There's one more thing," she said. "Your baby has been touched by the magic of the river. She will have special gifts and abilities, and she will always be connected to the river." Ozi and Kofi exchanged a glance, unsure of what to make of this revelation. But they knew that they would love and support their child no matter what. As they walked away from the river, Ozi and Kofi felt a sense of hope and new beginnings. They knew that their journey had changed them, and that they would face challenges in the future. But they were ready, knowing that they had each other and their love for their child to guide them. The story of Ozi and Kofi came full circle, a testament to the power of love and determination in the face of adversity. They had faced their fears and overcome incredible obstacles to rescue their baby, and they had emerged stronger and more resilient as a result. As they looked at Ozi, they knew that they would always cherish and protect her, and that they would guide her as she grew and developed her special gift. And as they walked into the sunset, they knew that their future was bright, and that they would face whatever challenges came their way with courage and love.